The calcium snail manifested another barrier when Jin began another diatribe about Min's luck. The protective shield shimmered in the dim light, reinforcing their safety.
Silence,
ordered the auxiliary.
Your chatter is bringing them back.
The shadows over the ventilation shaft confirmed his words. The shadow stalkers had returned to their hunting territory. The students held their breath as the beasts passed above them, their presence a palpable weight in the darkness. The plan seemed to work. The bat jellyfishes couldn't detect them through the cover, until one began descending toward the small ventilation shaft, its tentacles probing curiously. Should seal it completely, thought the auxiliary while preparing his beast. The air will last long enough for. A silver feather pierced the shadow stalker, which fell lifeless. The precision of the strike was unmistakable. As if it were a signal, the rest of the swarm began rapidly moving away.
You can come out.
Zhao's voice came from above.
The area is clear.
Zhao and the auxiliaries began carefully dismantling the shelter's cover. The snail master constructed a calcium ladder for the students to emerge in small groups, each step solid despite its translucent appearance.
Finally,
exclaimed a boy upon exiting.
I couldn't stand the smell anymore.
Silence,
ordered the Lynx auxiliary sharply.
We're not safe yet.
The students emerged to find their professor along with the other 3 auxiliaries. Ren was with them, carrying what appeared to be several skin bags containers and a crystal emitting some kind of magical wave.
Carefully,
indicated the Lynx auxiliary.
Maintain order and silence.
Min and Taro practically jumped on Ren when they emerged, their relief evident in their enthusiastic greeting.
Where were you?
whispered Taro, giving him a small push.
You worried us.
What happened out there?
whispered Min, his eyes fixed on the sealed containers.
Why did you leave like that?
I wanted to verify something and get the professor's help.
Ren responded evasively while securing his specimens with meticulous care.
Verify what?
Taro insisted, his curiosity evident.
Nothing important, trust me.
Ren adjusted his equipment strap.
Things better not discussed here.
Things like controlling nocturnal stalkers, apparently.
Luna's voice startled them. She had approached silently, moving like a shadow herself. Her eyes studied Ren's containers with genuine curiosity, her gaze penetrating.
It's not what it seems.
Ren avoided her penetrating gaze and shifted uncomfortably.
No?
Luna tilted her head.
Because it seems you weren't just keeping the shadow stalkers away. You were actually doing something more interesting.
Ren swallowed hard. The intensity of her stare was unsettling, as if she could see right through him.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He tried to sound casual but failed. Luna hummed.
I suppose those sealed containers are full of common earth, then?
It's just...
Luna arched an eyebrow.
And I suppose Professor Zhao just happened to find you on the way back.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Ren insisted, avoiding any direct answers.
Of course you don't.
Luna narrowed her eyes, her shadow wolf briefly manifesting behind her. Taro and Min exchanged confused looks, but Ren could feel cold sweat on the back of his neck. Luna took another step closer, her voice barely a whisper.
I'll find out soon. You speak truths and lies at interesting moments, Funk.
She moved away as silently as she had come, leaving Ren with the uncomfortable feeling that she had seen more than he wanted to show.
What was that?
Min, bewildered by the exchange.
Nothing, it's time to go?
Ren changed the subject while the auxiliaries began organizing students for the return.
The carriages are waiting.
Cure things,
ordered Zhao.
The covered carriages await. The expedition is over for this occasion.
But what about gathering?
Someone protested.
Safety is priority.
Zhao responded in a tone that admitted no discussion.
Collect everything. We're leaving.
Jin seemed about to say something more, but one look from the snail auxiliary silenced him definitively. This gathering trip had been more than enough for one day. Soon after, the students began boarding the carriages, some still excited, commenting about the battle, others visibly relieved to be returning. The night's events had left their mark on everyone.
What's in those containers?
asked Jin, eyeing Ren suspiciously before boarding his own carriage.
Did you sneak away to collect what Professor Zhao defeated while the rest of us were fighting?
Before he could continue, Zhao intervened with a gentle tap to Jin's head.
Those containers are sealed for a reason, and you should be boarding over there.
Luna observed everything in silence while her shadow wolf manifested nearby, as if ensuring there were no more threats. Her eyes briefly stopped on Ren before turning to join her group of noble girls. Klein's group kept apart, though it was evident they were still upset. The incident had revealed too much. The attack hadn't been random, and they had been a specific target. Zhao stopped beside Ren as he finished arranging his containers.
Ren.
Zhao leaned slightly, his voice gentle despite evident exhaustion, his tone having lost the usual formality of classes.
Do you think you could do something more with that crystal of yours?
Something more?
Ren blinked, protectively hugging one of his containers.
For the return journey.
Zhao gestured toward the other carriages.
Could that crystal of yours keep the Medusas away during the entire trip?
Ren's eyes lit up with understanding.
I can keep them away, just...
He touched his lip, thoughtful.
I just need to go in front. If I stay in the front carriage,
Ren nodded while adjusting the core.
the effect will make them gradually disperse as if following the male. I just need to keep it active.
Zhao contained a smile at the childish enthusiasm.
Of course, in fact, I insist you go to the front.
Perfect!
Ren smiled broadly before remembering who he was talking to.
I mean, yes, Professor.
Also,
Zhao continued as the boy climbed into the carriage.
I want to thank you for your help today. Not everyone keeps calm in a situation like this.
Ren shifted uncomfortably in his seat.
It was nothing, I just wanted to help.
And you did more than you imagine.
Zhao gave him a gentle pat on the shoulder.
You deserve a proper reward. I'll see what I can get from the academy that might be useful to you.
Ren's eyes widened like saucers.
Reward?
He stammered.
Like cultivation materials?
That be useful.
Zhao smiled mysteriously.
We'll see what I can do.
As the professor walked away to organize the departure, Ren could barely contain his excitement. Academy materials. With luck they would be. A movement in the nearby shadows caught his attention, but then he stopped.
Everything ready.
The snail auxiliary's voice startled him.
Yes.
Ren stammered, looking away from the trees. It must be his imagination.
Carriages are reinforced.
Zhao explained to 3 of the auxiliaries.
We'll maintain a tight formation to take advantage of our lucky fungus's crystal and keep an eye open. We can't assume there won't be more attempts tonight.
They were ready to depart, with only 1 auxiliary remaining near the clearing's edge where the carriages waited when.
Wait!
Han shouted while running from nearby bushes toward the last carriage, adjusting his belt, his face red from exertion, and his clumsy movements betraying his rush to reach the carriages before they left.
I'm coming. Finally.
Klein snorted with irritation.
Thought you'd gotten lost in the forest. Hey Han, weren't you just going to pee?
Jin smiled maliciously.
Congratulations on holding it so long during battle and in the hole without soiling your pants. New endurance record.
Laughter erupted in several carriages. Even some of the more serious students couldn't contain a smile. The echo of laughter bounced between trees while Han, his face now the color of a ripe tomato, climbed into the last carriage.
Shut up!
He muttered, though his voice was lost among more laughter when Jin began dramatically imitating someone desperate to find a bush.
Silence and order.
The snail auxiliary tried to sound severe, though the corner of his mouth curved slightly.
Everyone to your places.
Ren observed the scene from the front carriage, the mushrooms in his hair pulsing softly with the more relaxed atmosphere. After so much tension, even a silly joke served to lighten the weight of what had happened. That's when he saw it again. A quick movement caught his attention from the corner of his eye. At first he thought it was another shadow stalker, but the flight pattern was different. The mushrooms in his hair pulsed with curiosity when he managed to better distinguish the form. A flying beast, but its feathers had a color that didn't correspond to any species in the area. How strange, he thought as the carriage pulled away those markings.
Move out.
The Lynx auxiliary's voice pulled him from his thoughts. The carriages began moving, the laughter from Jin's joke finally fading. They finally arrived at their dorm. The creak of the door opening made Liu jump in his bed.
Who?
He sat up alarmed, his bat briefly manifesting before recognizing his companions.
You're back already, but it's barely. Long story.
Taro mumbled while collapsing onto his bed without even removing his shoes. Min was already snoring before his head hit the pillow. His water snake coiled lazily around his neck, also exhausted.
Did something happen?
Lu watched with concern as Ren carefully stored several sealed containers under his bed.
We'll tell you tomorrow.
Ren barely managed to remove his boots before sinking into his mattress. The mushrooms in his hair barely pulsed, as if they too needed rest.
But...
Lu began, only to notice his 3 companions were already deeply asleep. Sleep enveloped Ren like a warm blanket. His body ached from the day's effort, but it was a satisfying pain. Images of the mysterious bird and its markings floated in his mind as he sank into well-deserved rest some hours later. A ray of light hit his face directly. Ren grunted, trying to turn away from it. Something wasn't right. The ray was moving in his eyes, and there was a shadow. His eyes opened slowly, his blurry vision gradually focusing on the beautiful face of a woman floating right above him, her radiant smile promising pain in his immediate future.
Good morning, my favorite student.
Ren screamed, or at least tried to. The sound was muffled when Lin covered his mouth with her hand.
Shh.
Her smile widened.
Let your companions sleep a bit longer. They don't have special training today.
Fang?
Ren tried to speak through Lin's hand.
Of course.
Lin finally released him, only to grab his arm and begin dragging him out of bed.
It's a perfect day for exercise.
But...
Ren stumbled while being dragged toward the door.
We were supposed to return the day after tomorrow. Today and tomorrow should be free days.
Oh, dear.
Lin dragged him through the hallway like a rag doll.
Did you really think coming back early meant more rest? How adorable.
But I'm tired.
Ren tried to resist, but Lin's strength far surpassed his.
We had a very intense expedition yesterday.
More reason to train.
Lin didn't even slow down.
We must maintain momentum. Besides,
She briefly stopped, her smile turning mischievous.
a little bird told me that a certain student had an interesting role in last night's events.
Ren paled.
How did you?
Oh, we'll have plenty of time to chat.
Lynn resumed her relentless march toward the training field.
Between exercise and exercise.
The mushrooms in Ren's hair pulsed weakly, as if they too wanted to protest, but they knew Lynn well enough to know it was futile. The sun was barely peeking over the horizon, promising a long, very long day ahead. Ren collapsed onto his bed, every muscle in his body protesting from the brutal training. Through the window he could see his companions enjoying their free day in the gardens.
At least I can organize everything now.
He mumbled while crawling toward his containers, the mushrooms in his hair pulsing weakly from exhaustion. He took out his treasures one by one, carefully aligning them on his bed. Knowledge flowed naturally while he evaluated each piece. First, the cores. The mirror mantis core shone with a metallic gleam, a complete bronze core perfectly preserved. Next to it, the shadow stalker male's core emitted a faint purple pulse from the abyssal corruption, but was still a complete core.
These two are the most valuable,
he murmured while examining them.
Though they're also the least valuable, and the corruption.
The other cores were different. The worms and the bark stalkers were more primitive, incomplete storage structures.
These would serve better as process materials than real cores.
He continued with the skins. Almost 100 shadow stalker skins, some slightly damaged from battle.
With luck, about 150 to 200 crystals each, the best perhaps 250.
The worm teeth gleamed with an opaque tone.
Resistant as bronze rank, though they're iron. Interesting.
The mantis plates reflected light hypnotically. Ren smiled, remembering how he'd used them.
The complete set could be worth quite a bit. Shame I didn't get it at school.
The weaver thread Min and Taro had gifted him from their own gathering gleamed with a silvery tone.
Not much, but could be useful.
The female shadow stalker body and male tentacles occupied a special container.
These are harder to value, but I have an idea for their use.
In another container, the bark stalker powder mixed with moss and herbs from its shell.
Good medicine materials.
The cave crystals formed a small brilliant pile.
These are purer than normal ones. The mana density is better.
The weaver molten deep earth completed his collection. Ren began making calculations on paper. Mantis core, male core, primitive worm core 100, primitive bark stalker core 200. Skins, average 200 crystals, 20,000 total mantis plates. Worm teeth 10, 100 weaver thread, 500 body and tentacles. Vitality powder, 300 herbs and moss, 500 pure crystals, 1,000 weaver molt, 300 deep earth, 500 pure crystals, 5,000 total, 30,000.
I have about 30,000 crystals total according to the numbers in Lou's book. If I wanted to sell everything and got the best price,
he murmured while reviewing his calculations.
And that's without counting what the school will duplicate from the official report. Maybe an extra 25,000 with luck. Plus what I can mine in the remaining days of the month.
It was a good amount, more than he had expected to get from this expedition. His careful planning had paid off, but for his plans, still need a bit more if I want to start now, he sighed while beginning to carefully store everything away. But maybe I could start with. A shout of laughter came from the garden. His companions played carefree under the afternoon sun, enjoying their well-earned rest.
Free time,
he murmured with a mixture of envy and resignation.
Someday I'll have free time when all this bears fruit. At least,
he smiled while sealing the last container.
Training with Lynn is showing results, even if it hurts.
His eyes stopped on the male's corrupted core. There was something about those purple veins that intrigued him. Something his knowledge couldn't quite decipher completely. Ren slapped his cheeks and stood up. If he wanted to progress, he would have to keep working. And today he had a place to go to capitalize on his gathering reward, the exchange window. The exchange warehouse was enormous, its high shelves filled with materials of every kind. The usual aroma of dried herbs and minerals mixed with the unmistakable smell of tanned leather and metal, creating an atmosphere that spoke of countless treasures. The main window was occupied by a long line of older students, so Ren headed to one of the side ones. A young girl, perhaps around 20, was clumsily organizing papers behind the counter, her movements betraying her inexperience.
Hello?
Ren approached with his samples. Stay updated with Empire. The girl jumped in surprise, scattering several papers.
I'm sorry.
She quickly bent to pick them up, hitting her head against the counter in the process.
Ouch!
Are you okay?
Ren couldn't help but smile at her flustered state.
Yes, perfectly fine.
The girl emerged, rubbing her head, her hair becoming disheveled in the process.
Welcome to the Exchange Warehouse. I'm Jessie, and I'm here to help you.
Her enthusiasm was contagious despite her evident nervousness.
Thanks.
Ren began taking out his samples.
I wanted to check some prices.
Course!
Jessie pulled out a thick appraisal manual much larger than Lou's, eagerly flipping through it, several pages crumpled in the process.
Oh, no, wait!
While trying to fix the wrinkled pages, Ren noticed she had cat ears, her spirit beast.
First,
Ren placed the weaver molt on the counter.
Could you check this?
Sure.
Jessie examined the molt with genuine interest, her cat ears perking up.
Let me see.
She began searching through the manual, muttering to herself.
Scales for here. No, wait. Those are reptilian white scales. Aha!
Her eyes lit up with professional excitement.
Oh, these are complete. The quality is very good, and...
She paused to search another page, her enthusiasm making her movements less clumsy.
Yes! The wear pattern indicates they're from a recent molt. That makes them more valuable.
Really?
Ren leaned in with interest, curious about her detailed assessment.
Well...
Jessie consulted a value table, her tongue peeking out slightly while calculating.
Normally they'd be about 300 crystals, but in this condition, 450.
Ren whistled softly.
Wasn't expecting that much.
It's because of the preservation.
Jessie smiled, gaining confidence in her expert.
Look at these marks here.
She pointed with genuine enthusiasm.
It means they retain all their original flexibility because they haven't dried out.
Next, Ren showed the mirror mantis plates, their surface catching the light beautifully.
Wow.
Jessie's eyes widened like saucers.
These are beautiful, and you have 5 complete ones.
She quickly flipped through the manual, accidentally dropping more papers in the process.
Oops, doesn't matter. Let's see.
Her expression turned serious while consulting several tables, her professional side emerging.
They're very valuable. Especially because they have the bottom layer intact. Looks like they weren't ripped off as usual. Are you planning to sell them?
No, just wanted to know the value.
Oh, well.
Jessie made more calculations.
As a complete set, I'd say 5,000 crystals for all 5. The reflective properties are intact, and it seems there isn't even a trace of the bad smell from flesh or hemolymph, which is rare.
Ren nodded, impressed. It was more than double what he had expected. When he brought out the Shadow Stalker skins, Jessie let out a small squeal of excitement.
The quality is incredible. Look at this sheen. They're,
She nervously consulted the manual.
300 crystals each for the best ones. 250 for standard. But...
Ren prompted.
But?
They need treatment soon.
Jessie bit her lip with genuine concern.
Shadow Stalker skins are delicate. Properly treated, they'd be worth double, but...
She blushed slightly.
I wouldn't recommend trying without experience. It's very easy to ruin them.
Ren appreciated her honesty.
How long do I have?
3 days maximum.
Jessie consulted another table with practiced efficiency.
After that, they'll start losing properties. There's a processing workshop on the 3rd floor. Isaac would be the best for this.
She pointed vaguely upward while gathering the scattered papers.
All right.
Ren smiled while helping her collect them.
You're very good at explaining things.
Jessie blushed at the compliment, her cat ears twitching.
Thank you. I'm new and still a bit nervous.
They continued reviewing the rest of the materials, which turned out to have values very close to Ren's calculations. Jessie gained more confidence as they progressed, her expertise shining through her initial clumsiness.
So?
Ren began storing his samples.
The processing workshop, you said?
Yes!
Jessie nodded energetically.
3rd floor, 2nd door on the right. Just be careful with the stairs.
She blushed again, clearly speaking from experience. Ren laughed.
Thanks for all the help, Jessie.
Come back anytime.
As Ren climbed the stairs, one of the mushrooms in his hair pulsed softly. Jessie noticed it for the first time, and her expression changed subtly. Oh, she thought, he's the spore boy. A mixture of pity and curiosity crossed her face until something clicked in her memory.
Wait.
Jessie stood and searched through the delivery drawer papers.
There's a note, I'm sure that...
But Ren was already heading upstairs.
Oh, no.
Jessie held the envelope she had just found, the words "For Ren," written in elegant handwriting on the front.
I should have remembered earlier.
She bit her lip, watching the boy's figure disappear toward the 3rd floor. But another student arrived at her window.
3rd floor.
Ren murmured, adjusting his bag filled with precious skins.
Time to process some hides.
The workshop was a spacious area filled with work tables and shelves of tools. The air was thick with the smell of tanned leather and fixative products, each scent telling a story of materials transformed. A short man with a thick gray beard worked at one of the tables. He was barely 10 centimeters taller than Ren, but his hands moved with the certainty of years of experience, each motion precise and purposeful.
Excuse me.
Ren approached.
Mr. Isaac?
That's me.
He responded without looking up from his work, his focus absolute.
What do you need, boy?
I'd like to use the workshop to process some skins.
This caught Isaac's attention. He turned, his shrewd eyes studying Ren, until they noticed the mushrooms in his hair. His expression softened with a hint of pity that Ren was all too familiar with.
What kind of skins?
Shadow Stalker.
Isaac whistled softly.
How many?
Almost 100.
Look, boy.
Isaac set down his tools, his expression turning serious.
Shadow Stalker skins are delicate. One mistake and...
I know.
Ren interrupted, determination in his voice.
But I'd like to learn.
Isaac sighed, scratching his beard thoughtfully.
I'll show you the facilities, but I insist you should let someone with experience.
Could I pay you to process the first 10?
Ren brought out some skins carefully.
I'll pay for the service and materials. I just want to see how it's done.
Isaac studied the skins with a critical eye, his expertise evident in every glance.
Good quality. Would be a shame to ruin them.
He considered the proposal for a moment, weighing options.
Fine, but it'll cost you 100 crystals per skin. 50 for labor, plus 50 for materials.
Ren nodded and watched attentively while Isaac prepared his workspace. Knowledge flowed while the artisan explained each step, every detail adding to Ren's understanding.
First, the base solution.
Isaac mixed several liquids with practiced ease.
3 parts fixative, 1 stabilizer. This works for any skin you want to treat.
Ren began noticing details. The Shadowstalker skin fibers had a peculiar pattern, unlike others, which meant they may needed different proportions for optimal treatment.
Why use standard fixative?
Ren asked, his curiosity genuine.
It's what I always use.
Isaac responded without pausing.
Works well enough.
Wouldn't powdered crystal fixative be better?
Isaac paused briefly.
Would be slightly better, yes. Also 3 times more expensive. Not worth it.
The skin doesn't have its own mana, Ren reflected while the mushrooms in his hair pulsed softly. It would need much less crystal powder than normal. He observed how the standard fixative saturated the fibers. It was too much. The fibers didn't need that amount because...
Why use so much fixative?
Ren asked, his mind connecting patterns.
Better ensures preservation.
Isaac answered without stopping.
Especially with delicate skins.
Based on the responses, knowledge whispered that the proportion could be better. 4 to 1 would give the skin more flexibility without compromising durability.
Then we immerse for exactly 10 minutes.
Isaac continued, his movements
Not 1 more, not 1 less.
Maybe 8.5 minutes would be ideal for Shadowstalker skins, Ren thought, but limited himself to nodding. Isaac's expert hands worked with mechanical precision, stretching and treating each skin. His movements were perfect, but the materials... Ren took mental notes of each step. The technique was impeccable, but with the right materials.
Done.
Isaac displayed the first batch of processed skins.
See the difference in texture and shine. You could sell them for 300, but now for 450.
Ren nodded. Subtracting the 100 crystals per skin, the profit was 50. The result was good, but could it be exceptional? Isaac spoke.
Still want to process the rest?
Yes.
Ren began storing the treated skins carefully.
Thanks for the demonstration.
You'll regret it,
Isaac murmured, though there was a glimmer of respect in his eyes.
The facilities are available to students, but if you damage anything, you pay for it.
Ren went down to the warehouse with a clear mental list. Jessie was still at her window, organizing papers with slightly more success than before.
Back so soon?
She smiled warmly.
Need standard fixative,
he told Jessie.
But also some bronze-grade powdered crystal.
Bronze grade?
Jessie consulted her manual.
That's 10 times more expensive. Quite fine.
Only need 1 small 100 crystal cost unit.
Ren began calculating.
Also stabilizer and half premium stabilizer.
While Jessie gathered the materials, her eyes stopped on something on her desk.
Oh!
She exclaimed.
The note. Almost forgot again.
She took an elegant envelope and extended it to Ren.
Arrived this morning. It's for you.
Ren accepted the envelope while paying 500 crystals for his materials.
Thanks.
He stored it carefully. He would finish with the skins first. That fresh knowledge in his mind shouldn't be wasted. As he climbed back to the workshop, a smile formed on his face. The mushrooms pulsed softly, as if approving his deductions. Back in the workshop, Ren organized his workstation methodically, aligning the materials in the order he would need them.
Let's see,
he murmured while measuring the base fixative. Unlike Isaac, who used a full measure per skin, Ren added only 3/4. Then, with extreme care, he dusted a tiny amount of powdered crystal over the liquid. The fixative glowed faintly upon contact with the crystal. Exactly as Ren expected, the skin's conductive fibers only needed that minimal mana guidance. He prepared the stabilizer solution in another container, heating it precisely to a Shadowstalker's body temperature, slightly cooler than what Isaac had used. Knowledge told him the fibers would respond better this way, as they did when the beast was at rest. The first skin was immersed in the modified fixative. Ren counted the seconds carefully, observing how the fibers absorbed the solution. When he extracted it, he noted with satisfaction that the shine was even more intense than in the skins Isaac had processed.
8.5 minutes.
He murmured while transferring the skin to the salamander solution. The fibers began tensing and relaxing in a rhythmic pattern, expelling soft fats and proteins. With each skin, Ren refined the process. He discovered he could reuse the salamander solution more times than normal. Shadowstalker skins barely altered its composition if they had no residue from the first process. The crystal fixative also yielded more, as the conductive fibers only took what they needed. Isaac approached occasionally to observe, his expression oscillating between skepticism and curiosity. By 2 p.m., when Ren had processed almost half his skins, the artisan had to admit the results were exceptional.
Never seen that deep shine,
he commented while examining one of the finished skins.
And the flexibility.
Ren smiled slightly and stored the skins. The note tingled in his pocket.
Let's see where this leads.
Later, by the time he finished processing the remaining skins, Ren approached the 4th floor. He opened the envelope he had received and read the note. It said, "Dear Ren, we understand you have goods for sale. Please come to the 4th floor of the guild building for an appraisal. Bring your materials. We look forward to doing business with you. P.S. Ren, Violet Guild, 4th floor, in the name of the Sacred Ancestors Guild." Isaac approached occasionally to observe, his expression oscillating between skepticism and curiosity. By around 2 p.m., when Ren had processed almost half his skins, the artisan had to admit the results were exceptional.
Never seen that deep shine.
He commented while examining one of the finished skins.
And the flexibility.
It's because the fibers are perfectly aligned,
Ren explained while immersing another batch.
When the Shadow Stalker prepares to sleep, I achieved it using a different fixative proportion and very little bronze crystal powder. Look!
Isaac paused briefly, interested.
Why does it work with so little powder?
Powdered crystal fixative is designed for most skins which have residual mana,
continued Ren, his knowledge helping him understand to then explain.
That's why they use so much powder, to seal the skin with more mana. But here there's no mana to seal.
Interesting theory.
Isaac stroked his beard thoughtfully, Ren murmured.
And 8.5 minutes, not 10.
Why 8.5?
The base solution is green slime oil, right?
Ren sniffed slightly. The mushrooms had given him the answer to that sense owner already.
Shadow Stalker skins have 15% less fat and water than others.
Isaac looked at him with renewed interest.
Continue.
If the solution maintains that pattern,
Ren pointed to a freshly immersed skin.
8.5 minutes is enough to expel all matter that could rot.
Fascinating.
Isaac murmured.
And that makes such a difference?
The conductive fibers adapted better.
Ren traced the patterns in the skin.
Like I said, just like when the Shadow Stalker goes to sleep.
Isaac processed the next skin following Ren's suggestions. The result was subtly different, more flexible, with an even deeper shine than what Ren achieved. With the old man's technique, the best possible skins were born.
Well, well.
The artisan nodded appreciatively.
Seems there's more in that head of yours than just fungi.
Ren smiled, the mushrooms pulsing cheerfully. By the end of the day, Ren had processed all his skins using barely a tenth of the materials normally required, and his mixtures never became contaminated. Each piece gleamed with a deep luster, the conductive fibers perfectly preserved in their optimal state.
You could make a career of this,
Isaac suggested while Ren packed the last skins.
You have talent.
Ren smiled but shook his head. He had other plans for his future. While cleaning his workstation, he calculated mentally. The reduced material cost and his own labor meant more profit per skin, and with the improved quality, the selling price would also be higher. Not bad for half a day's work, he thought, while carefully storing his production. Later, Ren returned to the warehouse. It was quieter when he entered. Most students had already left, leaving only the occasional sound of papers and soft tinkling of crystals. Ren could have gone to the more experienced lady with burn scars in her hands, but decided to return to Jesse.
You're back.
Jesse smiled, seeing him approach with his package.
How did the processing go?
Ren carefully laid the skins on the counter. The deep shine immediately caught Jesse's attention.
May I?
She asked, extending a hand toward the nearest one. Ren nodded. The mushrooms in his hair pulsed softly while Jesse examined the first skin.
Amazing,
she murmured, running her fingers over the surface.
Flexibility is perfect, and this shine.
She held the skin up to the light.
Are you sure this is your first time processing?
Isaac helped.
This is the best work I've seen from Isaac so far. Well, I haven't seen too many. Has he been working worse lately?
She pulled out her appraisal manual, this time with professional enthusiasm replacing her earlier nervousness.
Let's see, premium quality, exceptional preservation.
Her fingers ran through price tables.
How many do you have?
90 to sell. I'll keep some.
Jesse nodded.
Let's see. At the base price of 450 crystals for premium quality, plus the bonus for perfect fiber preservation.
She made some calculations.
I can offer you 550 for each.
I'll take it.
Ren responded without hesitation.
Done.
Jesse began counting.
Though I'll have to bring more from the vault. How many did you say? 90?
Yes. That's 49,500 crystals total.
Ren confirmed. Jesse blinked at the speed of the calculation.
Let me verify yes, exact. Give me a moment.
While Jesse headed to the back of the warehouse, Ren organized the skins in groups of 10. Some of the best quality ones were already set aside for his own experiments.
Planning to use them to buy something now or want crystals to save?
She asked while completing the paperwork.
Don't trouble yourself. I already know what I want to buy. I have enough to begin my cultivation.
Jesse's hands paused briefly while counting.
Cultivation?
Yes, I have enough to evolve my spore.
But...
She continued counting, though more slowly.
Wouldn't it be better?
She stopped, biting her lip.
Better what?
It's a lot of money.
She continued carefully.
You could. There are other ways to invest it. The The materials market always needs intermediaries, and I don't know how you obtained all this being so young, but if you save,
Ren waited, knowing what was coming.
it's just that.
She placed another group of crystals.
With a spore. I mean, that beast doesn't. Even with the best cultivation. Well, even if you were to follow my advice, the city's regulations are strict. Without an appropriate rank, you won't be able to establish yourself in the commercial zones or...
Operate a business in the inner districts?
Ren completed.
Exactly. Even with capital, the rank restrictions are somewhat unfair.
Jessie stopped, uncomfortable.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have, since you can't even.
Can't even reach bronze to operate businesses or trade outside school, right?
Jessie blushed.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
Don't worry.
Ren smiled.
I know the regulations. My father always complained about them. I also know what everyone thinks about my beast, but you'll be surprised.
By the way...
Jessie seemed to remember something while trying to change the subject to hide her rude slip.
Did you open the envelope I gave you earlier?
Ren blinked, surprised by the question.
The envelope?
Yes. I gave it to you when you came for the processing materials.
Ah, that envelope.
Ren patted his pocket where it still rested unopened.
Haven't had time.
Must be important.
Jessie insisted.
The messenger who brought it was very specific about delivering it to you. All the windows knew about it.
Ren nodded, though his mind was already on his next steps. With these crystals, he could finally begin his real work.